What was the biggest challenge you faced ever in your career so far?
Ooh, I think there were several. There were several moments where, wow, I just went, holy shit. I can swear, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course you can swear. Welcome to the Wild and Wise podcast, everyone. A place where we tell stories about reinvention, creativity, careers, and the journey of life. And today, we have none other than Mr. Evan Low, aka Adventure Time.
Yeah.
Someone I know quite well because we used to work together.
Yeah.
And also someone who has an amazing story in the music world. And we'll get to that. But before we actually get going, welcome Evan to the podcast, man.
Thanks for having me, Gerald. This is so fun. This place is swanked up, man. Like to the 11s. What a crib. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. I'm glad you're here. So maybe just to kick things off, tell us, who are you and what do people know you for typically?
Hi guys, my name is Evan. Most people know me as a music producer and a music director. I usually just work every day in, day out, just totally involved in music. We're talking about stuff when it comes to song arrangements, songwriting, song production, anything that involves the creation or alteration of music. That's me. I dress songs up nicely. I create songs. Sometimes I just work on a good live show with some acts that I love. That's mostly what people know me for, just a very enthusiastic music nerd.
A music nerd. People know you for all these beautiful accolades and your achievements in your music career as a music producer, musician. I've seen you play the drums. I see you play the keyboard. I see you, I don't know what things you don't do on the stage or behind the stage, right? But deeply, who is Evan Low without all this music front? You know, who is this dude or this amazing guy or this fella that we may not sometimes see, right? Yeah, I'm just curious.
Wow, that one is so difficult to answer, Gerald. Like, it's so deeply ingrained in our Asian culture to always be like achievement based, right? Our validation always comes from output, from achievements. And wow, that question hits hard, man, because like, who are you outside of your work? If you think about it, most of the time when you talk to your friends, right, when you ask, hey man, like who are you or what do you do? You always instinctively talk about your work rather than your passions. And what happens when your passion becomes your work? Well, people don't really think about this, right? Because it's such an honor, right? And it's crazy to think about. You get to be doing what you love as a living. You don't get to think about who you are outside of it. Initially, I didn't have an answer for that, but I think as I got older, I had an inkling of it. I won't say there's a clear direction, but there's a rough playbook to who Evan is outside of his musical output. Yeah, I think it's just a very introverted but hyper enthusiastic guy when it comes to things that he finds fun. Generally a very curious guy.
What's your childhood like? I just want to know the Evan a little bit more because like I seen you at work, I see you on stage, I see you doing work for NDP and all that. What was your childhood like that shaped you?
It could be exciting or not. My upbringing is pretty typical. Like any stereotypical Asian household, pretty middle class, pretty decent household, single income family back then. And my mom was very encouraging in her own way on how to pursue my passions. She was passionate about music, but she could not get that when she was a kid, and naturally they try to impose their hopes and dreams on their kid, right? And it just so happens I ended up liking it. But I think the journey there was very different because generally, if you can see, I'm not that physically fit. I am quite scrawny. I am not a very athletic person. I try to, but a lot of the hobbies and stuff, I think my parents tried to get me on when I was a child, but it didn't really click just because naturally, I just am not cut out for it. And I just end up being, I won't say more of a homebody by choice, but it's just naturally. And I just ended up probably listening to a lot of music. I just ended up going through a lot of my parents' records, DVDs of this guy called Yanni, right? The guy with the multiple keyboards and then Richard Clayman on keys. And I just loved how they were so into it. Like they were almost like in a trance when they play. I was in shock and awe. Like, what is this state of euphoria? Like I can't seem to get that as a child. What is this joy that they're getting? Oh, I can't get that from my tuition. I can't get that from basketball. What is this feeling? It's quite funny to intellectualize this now, but in the past I was just trying to find that feeling, and it came from that experience. So My upbringing and my choices of why I ended up here, I guess it was just like a path of least resistance thing, just because I could not really do the rest, or I found difficulty in doing the rest more effectively. This is where I kind of just lean towards a lot. So music instruments, begged my mom for lessons, nerded around with reading the manuals of instruments, computers, which I think now made a lot of sense with where I am in the production world. My childhood has been, I think, fun and safe to express who I wanted to be. But I think also in a traditional Asian household, it's within certain set of rules, which they didn't know back then, but now they know now.
What was the first instrument that you learned? Just curious. Because you play multiple instruments. What was like the first thing?
Back then, the most accessible thing would be piano lessons. Or rather, when you think about music, it was just, I get you a piano teacher. Or rather the classical route. In general, like, Yamaha, that was the immediate thing. So piano was my first love. Just also because I was watching a lot of Yanni, Beatles maybe not so much, but I remember them plonking, I think it was Lennon playing Yesterday and Richard Clayderman. So that associated, that's my straight first connection with music was the keys. So piano was my first. Which actually, as much as I hated it, as I got older to when it comes to grading, it's so much help. It's really good, man. Like I know I shouldn't say this, but it's don't force your kids to learn piano, but it actually helped me out in a long way, man. It actually set the pace, very good bass line, so I can learn a lot of other shit after that.
So the fundamentals were started from the piano. Basically. I started playing the organ when I was a kid.
What?
Very
I did
young.
not know that about you.
The one that the bass line is those pedals, the bass line and all that. I started playing the organ at a very young age.
What? I did not know that. That is so cool.
Also with Yamaha back in the day, I was a chubby kid, and then they took a photo of me in some magazine. Come join the organ class, and then there's like me and my classmates, and so I started learning the organ at a young age.
Dude, that's so difficult to play, man.
I don't know how I did it though, but I totally enjoyed it. I enjoyed it to a point where I felt like the exams was like, I didn't enjoy the exams part.
I hated that.
I just felt like it was like, why do I need to be graded? I just want to express. I enjoy playing.
No, same. I hated the yearly process where I had to get graded, and I just liked to play the songs because they were fun.
You're fun, exactly.
Yeah.
And then the organs, I remember they had like different beats, different sounds, and then you can create a cha-cha, you can create a waltz, and like all the different shit. Like so fun. Like I had a lot of fun just meddling and noodling with the buttons.
That's crazy, Gerald. Like you could have been a pilot from all the hand-eye coordinations.
Please, I'm not nowhere as good as where you are. I felt that by learning a music instrument, it just opened your mind to a space where typically I would not even explore as a child. I just somehow felt that unlocked something in my mind. From there, I wanted to be a rock star. Like, okay, I'm going to quit the organ and I'll pick up the guitar. And that's how it just started from there. But no, I just feel that music does open up a space in your mind.
Yeah, like it just unlocks something else, a different perspective, a different way of thinking. Yeah, a different approach, which is really fun. I mean, it even applies to boxing for me.
Boxing? Okay. Tell me more.
Because okay, so which is really fun. I remember this story very well. I was going through a heartbreak back then, and I needed a vent, right? And I was a drummer. I mean, I know drums. I played drums, and one of my good friends, Charlie Lim, he's a boxer. He's an avid boxer. And I was like asking him, because it's quite interesting to think about, because boxing is rhythm. I asked him how much of that skill can I transfer as a drummer to boxing, and he said just shut up and come and figure it out. And turns out it was so fun because like let's say the typical person, let's say if you go to boxing, you'll learn a combo and you just keep repeating the same move. But let's say a drummer, or let's say any rhythm section player, or even pianist, right? You can delay, like you can syncopate, you can anticipate. So like, you can hold a note and then you let it out later, or you can go earlier. A lot of these moves, the drumming foundation actually helped a lot in boxing.
Rhythm.
Which I found, so it's really cool. So like the same combo can have so many much more different variations. So that's really fun. So that applied to that, and then that also changed the way I play fighting games, which actually I fought
like Street Fighter.
Tekken, Street Fighter when I fought Denise the other day.
Denise.
Completely kicked ass. It was great. but so like you could change up the rhythm so people won't anticipate you. So it's very fun. It's very transferable. The skill set is very transferable.
I never thought of music with boxing. That was interesting. Rhythms.
It was quite a thing. Even try to box through the rhythm for a song. It's like, oh my god, it's so fun. I nerded out on that so much.
So I think as a child, you were growing up with music. Parents kind of give their upbringing. What as you were entering the teenage years, you know, what was it like for you as you went to secondary school? How did your music career or your music development progress as you went along? How was it like?
Wasn't a conscious thing. A lot of the decisions I made were just because I didn't enjoy other things.
Okay.
So like for context, when I was in primary and secondary school, it was all also music creative leanings. Like, you know, I would join art competitions like illustrations, paintings, and stuff like that. So my parents saw that creative side in me and let me pursue those outside of school, and realized I'm just really passionate about some of them compared to you know, your typical O levels, A level stuff, where I think it took I won't say it's not because I didn't enjoy them, but it took me longer to grasp some concepts. Yeah, so the execution or my way of learning was very different. I played erhu for a bit. I went to choir in secondary school and joined some bands. You know, so a lot of that, I realized a lot of my outlets, I love to go there. I love to experience these things. I love to go to my secondary school canteen music shows where, you know, we get to have band competitions. I watch people just go nuts. So I realized, oh, okay, I think I'm liking this a lot more than triple science, you know? So a lot of my time is spent there, spent in a lot of my creative output outside of my work. So like I remember like at night I have like notebooks of illustrations, like me just drawing or creating a world. Back then it was, I don't know, what they call that, Neopets, Power Rangers. Oh my god, this racial age. Like Power Rangers or like X-Men. Or there's really cool bands with eyeliners, you know, like My Chemical Romance when they first started out, Avenged Sevenfold, and the like. So a lot of that is just conceptualizing what what a band could be like, a band from space, a sword that was crafted out of meteorite, you know, stuff like that. So a lot of these world brewing, you know, where I didn't know the word back then. It was just me, you know, doing that, or like during Chinese class, you know, like those textbooks, what they call pets, or like, you know, and craft a world around these pictures as compared to paying attention in class. So as I got towards, what do you call it? Is it O levels? O levels, right? I realized that all my leanings are there. And when you start to get existential, because you get to pick where you want to go, because, you know, between JC and Poly, where that's a 1 year difference back then.
Correct.
Now we know it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, but back then it meant the world. That's when I actually started to be more conscious about the decisions I make for my life. And then that's where I started to make a more conscious decision to lean towards music end of things. But
so it's a conscious decision to lean towards like, okay, I'm going to pursue the music journey.
During I think towards the O level period.
So you're 16 years old. 17 years old, right?
So I mean, with my parents' support, they were very supportive. But they weren't sure where that led, but it's like you just kind of do it in that realm and try it. If it doesn't work, then, you know, at least get your grades up enough so that you can go somewhere else. There's a safety net. The same, you know, very typical Asian, but then they were supportive.
It sounds like your parents were like, okay, just go do.
We don't know what you're doing. But
I don't know what you're doing, but go do it. Go try it out.
Up to now, they still don't really have a good grasp of what I'm doing.
Most parents don't know what we really do in our day jobs, I feel.
They don't. It's actually I think they actually started to make more sense of it after you get to see it on the national scale. But before that, it was still quite hard. Until they say, oh, your song people sing. Okay, cool. You know, but yeah, so I think a lot of it has to do with being allowed to express myself and try in ways that was safe for me to explore within the traditional Asian confines. Which I think I found it fun, because then these are the rules that I would love to break as a teenager. I would always constantly be problem child. I would, like, you know, dress in like dark eyeliner, have a fringe that's way below my chin. Like, I don't know, man.
Should pull out some of these photos.
Oh, thank God. Thank God there was no social media back then. This would be, you wouldn't want to see me. You wouldn't be my friend.
It's not that ever will recognize at all.
Yeah, my wife's like, I will not marry you if you are like that. It was, it was an era that, thank God, no social media. Thank God.
I always feel like the upbringing does play a big role. I was just doodling on this question. If a parent, people might know the work that you have done in on a national level, and whatever scale you have worked on, right? And it's a parent coming to you say, hey, Evan, my child, dude, like she or she wants to like go down this music path. I'm super supportive, but question would be, what would you honestly tell the parent that will ask you this question? Hey, my child is really keen on exploring the creative arts, music direction as a career. No wrong, no right. I'm just curious to hear what would you say to the parent, or maybe even a question you could ask yourself in the future.
Oh, that's heavy, man. But no, that's a great question. I love that because like, dude, like it's not as simple as
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not as simple as pursue your passion, and then whatever you're passionate about will translate to your career success. It's not as straightforward as it. Too long didn't read answer is pursue your passions and whatever you're passionate about, yes, will translate to some form of success, depending on what you might define as success. But if you were to break it down, not really. You have to be super conscious about what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
I think I'll answer that in a moment, but why I'm saying that is because this position I'm in was a recent and very existential decision I made for myself in the middle of college, in the middle of the uni context, right? Because I entered Berklee.
Yeah.
And I thank God for IMDA and Berklee themselves for the scholarship, or I wouldn't have been there. But anyway, I entered there as I have to pick a major, and I picked, I think, initially as production and engineering major, so like more audio engineering.
Yeah.
And I picked drums as my main. And I was really rooting for myself to be a session drummer because back then, I think prior to Berklee, I was still playing in some records in the studio, recording some stuff, which is like, okay, somewhat pull it off. I realized like, when I was in school, I would practice every day. Like, after class, teacher give us an assignment, right? The professor, and we'll go to the practice rooms to shed. And I have some of these very talented drummers from around the world, and we would shed together in different rooms. I realized, right, like the 3 hours I took to get there, my friends who were supposedly on similar footing could hit there like in 15 minutes or like 30 minutes. And I realized at the peak of my musicality, where I'm constantly working and practicing, right? Like every other day, right? I had nothing else but to practice, right? And work. I'm like that.
Yeah.
This is more or less my plateau, my ceiling. If I were to do this as a full-time job, can I keep this up when I'm like why am I now when I have a family, I have a house?
Yeah.
Do I have that kind of time to execute this kind of output and still have all these other responsibilities out there? So I realized while on the side, I was still doing arrangement and production work. And, and it made a lot of sense. It was very like path of least resistance. Like, and of course, with a lot of encouragement from my friends, like to reassess. Like my income for drums was here and my income for production arrangements were there. And I realized that my output for that, back then, I didn't really think about it too much. Like I was like, oh, you need it? Sure. I'll just like blah, 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 blah. Then I'll give it to them. Then I'll go back to, play drums. And I realized that actually, there's some small demand for that. I was like, okay, what happens if I actually lean towards that? And I tried it, especially in college. I feel like one of the best things I ever had in college, though, the thing I spent and bought most of college is time. I had so much time to figure out and experiment and figure out what I really wanted out of this big, huge Venn diagram, this whole ikigai that is music, right? Well, towards what I'm passionate about and what is commercially viable for me. End up being production and arrangements. So I really did that and pivoted hard, and I could see the benefits of that. So I think that realization kind of saved me. Really many thanks to a lot of my friends who were able to help me like identify what my strengths were at when I was in college. To go back to the question, I won't say to just straight up pursue your passions. I think encourage that in your child, but also I think identify ahead of time, like what are the leanings that they have. Find out what they're passionate about. Maybe identify what they are passionate about and what's their God-given talent. Are you able to marry both of them? Encourage that form of thinking and lean them towards creatively and see whether they are able to come to the realization themselves. Don't force it down. No kid will. You know it, right? Everyone will rebel. Letting them come to that conclusion, that concept, that idea who they are. I know this is very Singaporean of me, but the viability of that as a career, it sucks to hear it. Especially, it's about money, commercial viability, or just being sustainable. But that's the reality of the world we are living in. And I wouldn't have gotten here for myself, my journey, if I didn't consider the P&Ls of my investment in my time as a creative, and where should I allocate that energy to. I'm not saying you shouldn't spend your time elsewhere, no, but it's more about like, okay, if I want to head towards this as my 9 to 5, you require a lot more than just sheer talent and passion. What are your revenue pillars? I mean, of course, no kid will think that way. So I think it's up to the parents' job to kind of encourage that. And eventually, when the time comes, you'll be there to have that conversation or kind of just move them to the right people or the right channels to think about.
Yeah.
So a long-winded answer, but it's not just passion made possible. I mean, yes and no. I love you, Singapore, very much. But it's a lot of left and right brain balance when it comes to commercial viability. I'm not saying that as a commercial music, but as you as a creative entity.
It sounds like you started with just really understanding, experimenting. I heard that quite a bit. Like you tried different things, practicing drumming, but you say you also dabbled in the production side of things. And I say, hey, there is some sort of like growth and an opportunity there. And you started to kind of lean in more on that space.
Yeah.
Right?
So the Curious Evan is like that.
Yeah, the Curious Evan.
Yeah, I have not changed. Even up to today, I didn't expect myself to be a music director. Yeah. So that also started from some of these similar stories like this. Yeah. So that the goalpost is constantly shifting, but I think having that awareness and mindset, I won't say path of least resistance, but the path of sustainability and viability with your passion. That's where kind of led me to where I am now. So I would encourage that from my experience for some parents who would want their child's creative outlets to be encouraged. So but I do see a lot of them are now a lot more aware. We're in a great place. But that's what I would say from my life.
My view is also like, you got to experiment. If you don't try, you never know. The more you experiment, you try, you kind of get the feedback loops that comes back into you. It's like, okay, I'm actually quite good at this. I'm not so good at that. And from there, you kind of level up and say, okay, how do I make this work?
Right. Yeah.
Right. So
completely.
Just giving that perspective. The more you do, the more you learn. And if you don't try, you never know, lah. Right.
Exactly. Spot on.
Just keep doing it. Try different things and experiment, and then as you grow, I think you kind of triangulate and sharpen the way you're approaching things.
Yeah. Exactly. Spot on. Couldn't have said it any better.
Yeah.
That is right on the money.
Very, very cool, right? And Berklee sounds like a pretty cool experience. Not many people go to Berklee, I think.
A dream come true, to be honest.
Yeah.
Didn't think I would get there, but there's one of those things that you aspire to go to as a kid, and then you're there like, holy
that's
shit.
cool. Yeah. What was like the most memorable thing? I've never been obviously to Berklee and all that. I know a few of the folk that I know or work with also been to Berklee. But what was your big takeaway from Berklee? Learning or experience for you?
Two experiences come to mind. So one of them was like, I think one of my first few professors who I'm having private instruction on drums with. Anyway, I remember walking into class and I played. I was like, play me something, so I know who you are, and I played. I didn't even introduce. I said I'm Evan, but he just said, hey, you're from Singapore, right? I was like, how you know? It's like the way you play, I can just see the grid in your head.
Wow,
really? It's like the sheer formulaic by the bar approach. I was just like, oh my god. I was like, you are quite right. And then he was telling me about his experiences about life. He said, as a musician, you are putting your groove, your culture, your imprint, right, on your work, and you're supporting other people by sharing your perspective. You're just being a very not so accurate robot, which is
don't
true.
Be a robot,
don't be a robot. Tell me your story.
Tell me your story.
Like he was telling me about his time, when he plays in a bar and stuff like that. That really moved me a lot, because I'm like, okay, I'm not playing from my heart. I'm not playing from my experiences, my culture, and that really kind of actually informed me on who I really wanted to be as an artist. What do I want to champion? What do I want to share? So that is one. I think that was really cool, because I think a lot of us Singaporeans are post-NS, right? So we are way past 21. So a lot of the times, right, I get to see my lecturers in the bar, and that actually gave me access to their stories in ways that I think most of the other college students won't be able to. And I think it's really fun to just have a pint with a bunch of them and hear about their life and their stories and the perspectives on the road. These are the things that you will never be able to take on textbooks.
Yeah.
And to hear it in person from their mouths and from their hands, right, is incredible. As in, these experiences are priceless. I cannot find them anywhere else. And the second one is just one thing, but it's a thing that my professor forgot to erase on the board. It was just a triangle. He calls it a triple H, which is funny, right? The wrestler. Right? So it's a triangle. And it says head, hands, heart.
Yeah.
Find yourself in the middle is the perfect way to play music. The perfect song, the perfect musician, the balance of your head, the way you think cerebrally and technically, your hands, the time you spend, and your heart, your gut, everything that you experience in life. So he says to be able to share all these three, I think, that would be a perfect experience as a musician. I was just like, wow.
Oh, so good. It sounds great though. What does your head tell you? What does your heart tell you?
Yeah.
And then what's your gut tell you?
Yeah. So I think that's a very similar analogy, similar approach.
Yeah.
So that has kind of informed me a lot of the times. Like, let's say when I'm in a writing session and I start to feel insecure, which part of that am I leaning towards? How do I pull back and then maybe meet someone maybe a little bit less 70-30, Yeah, so lean towards something a little bit more even out. So it helps me to catch myself a lot more, and it's so simple to apply. So minus all of the other nerdy like rehab, what chord, what note. A lot of the times, it's those experiences that are outside of the textbook that I have so much fun with.
Totally.
Yeah, so these two like immediately pop out to my head when you mentioned that. These are the things that really left a very fond memory.
Nice.
Oh, and one was also, it got me so happy, just randomly, it was I got to meet Daphne. I always watched her when she performed in Singapore Idol, right?
Yes.
And then like one of the first Singaporeans I met in Berklee was Daphne, because she's the one that handed to me my Berklee gear. Like, you get like laptops, textbooks, right? She's like, hi, welcome to the Berklee. And like, if you need anything, let me know. And I was like, oh my God, holy shit, are you Daphne? And then she's like, what? They're like, you're Singaporean. Like, oh my God. They was like, oh my God, it was great. And then it was amazing. It's great. You could ask her about it.
Shout out to Daphne. Yo, what's up?
The best. And she was the sweetest and make the whole experience so much better. And when you as a Singaporean there, I'm sure you get a culture shock. So like, it was a whole thing. It was so fun. So anyway.
As a kid growing up, I always loved music. I grew up listening to records from my dad, like the Beatles, the old school Elvis Presley and stuff. Different era from you, probably. I listened to a lot of Michael Jackson, Madonna on the radio. And when I hear these stories, I'm like, wow, it wasn't my journey. I really learn and experience these stories from when I speak with musicians and artists and people like you, because like it's like a parallel world that I wished I lived but never really got to live. Which is why when I hear stories from you or for Daphne or all the artists and musicians I speak to, like it's really cool. It's like I live a life that I never really lived, but I live it through your stories. So it's like it's quite cool to hear. I never had that experience, and it just gives me a very cool insight into what it was like through that journey, going to Berklee, and meeting all these interesting like lecturers and professors and artists. Yeah.
No, I agree. But I also do feel like a lot of our experiences, like a lot of us, I mean, not just you and I, but a lot of people have similar, I would say, experiences. But I think because it was like a whole collective of similar minds, and of course, again, we had the time. It was a privilege.
Yeah, it is. And everyone's story is very different. We had Daphne on the podcast as well. Her story was very unique as well.
She's amazing.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you this. As a kid growing up, you were experimenting with music. Your parents gave you a lot of opportunities to really experience and explore. And then you kind of picked it up, went to Berklee and all that. Was there like a pivotal moment, like say, hey, like, yo, this is like, I'm going to do this for life and this is my journey, my career to where you are today? Was there a pivotal moment, or was there like a sign, or is it something that you just decided that you want to do?
I think it was around, I would say, my secondary school or poly period, where I think it was much more clearer. I remember talking to my parents about this because my grades were pretty decent. I was able to get into AJC, but basically told them like, hey man, if you can give me some time, like I'm going to take a leap of faith.
Yeah.
I think I have some leanings towards being a creative. If you let me try, like if this doesn't work out, I will leave with no regrets. And they're like, go. Like go
Amazing.
for it. Like it doesn't work, come back and go through the traditional route. For me, it was just from then on, it's always been about just trying out, I think, experiences and just making sure like I think all these output that I've done would be something that if I leave the next day, I'll be happy with. And it's always been that, and I just have not looked back. And then like you look back years down the road, I go, holy shit, like I'm still around. So it's really this kind of thing. It was really from that one experience, that one chat, and of course like that pivotal moment also in Berklee. But it's just like I'm just gonna try, and if I left this industry now, would I be happy? The answer is yes. I can just go and do a completely different industry. I don't know, like for whatever role. Would I be happy? The answer is yes. And up to today, yes.
Lovely.
So yeah, I did not look back since then. It's just been all about just enabling the best in people to create music that I love and kind of balance that out and making sure it's sustainable. And yeah, I really have not looked back ever since.
What was the biggest challenge you faced ever in your career so far?
Ooh, wow.
Take your time.
There were several moments where I just went, holy shit. I can swear, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course you can swear.
Okay. Yeah. Holy shit. I really went through, oh my God. I can go through on certain moments. I think one of them was working with David Foster.
Wow.
I had to edit on this editing software called Pro Tools, and he needed some help to edit some of his takes with a very famous singer I won't say. He needed it quick. It was in his hotel room, I remember this, and we had to set it up in his whole hotel room. And I think one of my other friends couldn't make it, so I had to step up and do it. And he was asking stuff like, I want this done here. And I'm like, I was just like going like, I did not know it then, but apparently I was quick, but I didn't know. So like I was just moving as quick as he could do it, so that because in my head I was like, oh, that guy's time is money. I shouldn't be wasting his time, and I had to do it as quick as I could. At least I think back then when I was already I was a studio assistant, I was a recording engineer. I realized a lot of my moments that I trained myself in the pressure cooker to do led up to this moment. Like I didn't know it back then, but in hindsight's 2020, right? It all led up to then. Like stuff like, let's say if the artist was recording in the studio, when he's recording his other take, I will be already editing the first take. So when he walks out of the studio, all the files are ready.
Right.
Like so stuff where we'll cut out. It's very nerdy, but we'll take out like stuff where like breaths in between, or like we make some like all these sounds, right?
Okay.
Or like we'll cut them out. So like I'll be editing his previous take while the other take is going already.
Oh, wow, okay.
So once he walks out of all his takes, you want to hear everything, it's done. And then you can go home. Like I was like, so these things, like I thought it was just I want to like faster, be efficient with my time, and I don't want to waste their time too, right? I want to go home faster, right? And it led up to this. I was like, oh my God. So and after that he subsequently called me back to do more.
Wow.
And that was with I think it was with F4's Vanessa Wu, a few of the other judges from the final one back then. And I was in the studio recording them, their singing, and that led to more opportunities from there. That was like I almost shit my pants moment but it was incredible. To know that all the stuff that I've been working to, I was ready. It was a bit of hard work, a bit of luck, and a bunch of every other thing. But I was glad that at that moment I was able to step up and do it.
Wow.
Yeah, and a few other opportunities. Let's say I remember the call for Ame.
Yes.
Also I remember that I just got married, I think, and we were about a weekish into our new home. I was working on some arrangements for the music director Martin. Yeah. And he was like, hey, help you with some songs. I was like, oh my God, yeah, I would love to. Yes, for sure. Yes. Like, I would love to. And I think it was because I think we were introduced, it's a bit hazy here, but I was introduced via, I think, Jia Rong, our drummer, but also I think Martin has heard some of the songs I worked on with Ben. So I think he was aware I was able to maybe take on some stuff. So he was like, hey, I want to take on some of these songs for Armin. Like, holy shit, yeah. I mean, of course, I was on the phone like, yeah, no problem. But I put on the phone, I was like hyperventilating. But anyway, did that. Then after that, he realized that, Evan, you actually directed and played for the Sam Willows, right?
Yes.
I was like, yeah, so you're familiar with doing playback? I was like, yeah. Yeah. Do you want to be on the tour? I was like, what? But I think it's I think across these different experiences, I was able to add value to the different artists and people I work with. And so a lot of these skill sets kind of led up to these moments. And of course, I was freaking the hell out because like the scale of which is something I probably have not experienced before. Sure, it's, for indoor stadium, national stadium, but then multiply that to like 40, 60,000 people.
Amazing, no?
It's insane. So, and it requires a different level of efficiency. But I remember after doing the first show, like not even the rehearsals, the first show, then I just like went and just like dumped a whole bunch of ice into like my bath and then I just sat there. I was like, oh man, okay, I think I can do this.
Yeah.
So these two moments were like quite defining for me because these were challenges
Yes.
that I said yes to. You know those like, there were some quotes about say yes to everything. Like it was one of those moments, but it was also, I think in hindsight, it was all these other experiences I was curious about. I was challenging myself to put myself up to that enabled me to be efficient enough to be in a professional baseline setting enough to step up to take on more of these bigger roles.
Yeah.
So I think those two spoke out to me when you mentioned that. So these two I remember very, very clearly at the back of my head. Were these moments where I'm like, okay, they were challenging, but I think I can take them on. I think I can. I think I can do this. So it was those two really fried my brain after that. Like dunk my head in cold water and I have like 2 highballs or something after that. But those were the ones that rung out to me.
Nice, man. Like David Foster, a guy who worked with many big artists, Ame. Like not many people will have experienced this. Could you share a little bit more? Because like I'm very curious about what is it like being on tour. I've seen in your stories on Instagram and all that. But if you could just briefly walk us through like what would prep be like for a show, like so that people understand like, oh, that's kind of really goes behind the scenes, It's like, because not everybody gets to see it, right? We see the show, and then very good. Wow, then applause and then wow, fantastic. And then, but there's so much work that goes behind it. What goes on behind the scenes for you to prep for an Ame show, for example? I mean, there probably be many technicalities around it, but like give us like a brief elevator story and what goes on behind the scenes for a show like Ame.
But actually, that's a great question. Also, because a lot of the times the stuff I put on social media, it's the stuff where it's just the coolest moments on stage.
Yeah, right? I mean, it's like wow, very cool, very nice. I want to like.
But what goes on
under, like beneath a very beautiful show, but I'm sure there are a lot of moments that were like, whoa, like how do I navigate this? Like what are the learning points and what is it like?
From the musicians / technician standpoint, a lot of the prep work happens before. You have to really drill it into your brain so that when the repertoire is already at the back of your hand, so when something happens on stage, you're able to tackle it. So, for example, stuff where it takes me the longest time. Like the rehearsal is the least of my worries. My worries is actually the prep work that leads up to it. Because my main role after finishing arranging the song, right, that's a whole challenge in itself. Like, learning how to write and the songs, the busyness of it, the note choices you pick, the sounds you pick to fit the size, the grandness of the venue. It's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
But I think leading up to it, like, the stuff you prep, you have to know the songs at the back of your head. My job as a playback engineer is to communicate with lighting, lasers, visuals. Yeah. So we need to generate stuff where data, we call it time code, and you need to get this ahead. So any modifications, I need to have a very clear pipeline, and you also need to prep stuff for the musicians. So what they are playing, what can I omit on my playback, what can I add in, what do I need to accentuate on a stage, what kind of speaker placements are we using, how big is this, how can so each venue is different. How do I modify that accordingly so that the experience can be same throughout each venue? So blah blah blah, so on. So a lot of these things you need to know at the back of head. We are talking about, I think, a repertoire of more than 30 songs, and that shifts every other night. So that changes. There are some classics that stay. I won't. Some of the biggest hits that stay, but there are things rotate and stuff like let's say a technical mishap on stage, or let's say a guitarist. No, they didn't. But let's say somebody skips a bar. Or the artist starts early, starts late. What do I do? How do I navigate that? You have to know the song by the back of your head so that you can go like, okay, I got you, and stuff like that. So a lot of the prep work happens beforehand. Right. A lot of planning, technical planning, so that the nerdy stuff needs to be out of the way. So when it is instinctive and musical, you can go there and navigate, and everyone on stage and at the front of house is able to react together with you.
Got it.
So it's a whole thing. It's about communicating clearly to creatives and also technicians, making sure that you stress test everything so that nothing blows up in hot or cold. It's a whole process.
A lot of preparation, basically.
A lot of
prep, right?
Yeah, mental prep and equipment prep and technical prep. It's a lot of behind the scenes work that you don't see. Like, for example, when I go back to the hotel, the first thing I land in the hotel, I set up my rig and the show runs 2 to 3 times as I shower, as I eat. So that nothing blows up. Nothing. And same for the other musicians, they do that. We would run through it like at the back of hand. So like even if we know someone's note is off or something, we know. We know, and we know how to fix it.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of prep work. A lot. Yeah. But of course the fun stuff is fun. You get, after rehearsals, after the shows, we get to experience the city and the culture for what they are. Probably only for a night, but it's better than that.
Yeah. That's a very, it's good layout, good kind of sharing, because we don't know what goes on behind the scenes. So it sounds like it's a lot of prep. You're gonna know the repertoire, what happens in the show, so you're able to just react on the spot, basically, right?
It's highly technical, but highly musical as well, which is an incredible new world we were getting into when the stage and the production at that scale gets so complex. We're talking about like hot air balloons, fireworks, drones, moving stages, that falls like staircases, lifts. It's a whole thing. It's really, really fun.
Nice, man. Wow. So let's from army, let's talk about talk about Singapore a little bit.
Yeah, sure. Yes, for sure.
And we have to, definitely. And so what you've been based here most of your time. You've done shows like with army and all that.
Yeah.
How would you describe the Singapore music scene as you were kind of growing up to where it is now, actually? What has your journey been like working with all the amazing Singaporean artists? How has the scene or the music grown or shifted?
In the modern times, I think a lot of the musicians from my circle, I think they're aware that they need to have some sort of a presence. In this case, I would probably mean social media or online. Doesn't need to be social media, but just having a presence allows you to create a community. I think in the past, community was very, very different. It was always about events, festivals, venues, or even particular artists or a particular scene where everyone revolves around. Like, for example, in the old days, guest house. I think it has evolved differently. The way, the medium, the platform at which we express ourselves is very different now as compared to the old times. But I think the love for it, the love for originality has always been there. Now there's more commercialness to it. There's a more stronger pop leaning, or rather a bigger group of people who are leaning towards pop, but also the underground and the indie is so amazing. There's so much cool stuff that's happening there. A lot of the cool sounds that are coming up that will eventually become the pop of our world it comes from there, like most cultures do. The whole mindset of wanting something to call their own has always been there, has always been intrinsically Singaporean. I know a lot of people say this. I don't really think we have a Singapore sound yet. I don't think there needs to be a label for it yet, but I love the movement. I love the ownership of it. As a pop guy, I think I found so much fun just seeing them claim ownership, to create, to be undeniably themselves. I think that is something very us. We have a very interesting mecca of different cultures, right? We are this, I won't say maybe mecca is too strong word, maybe like a rojak, this hodgepodge of this place where we all get to mix all these different influences, cultures, tendencies. We have some really incredible music and a lot of actually touring acts that are really in demand. Like we're talking about like Wormrot, for example, which is it's incredible, doing these world tours.
Yes.
I love it, and I think it's something that I think with the internet and with the rise of social media platforms, we are able to create and celebrate our niches a lot more now, actually, and are able to be viable in our little groups more than just seeking commercialism in the traditional sense now. So I think we are in a very special moment, and I think could be a very special tipping point where I think a lot of our individualness, our uniqueness is being celebrated a lot more than before.
Nice. And, I think like Singapore is a small country, and I feel like as a young nation, we're discovering our sound, right? And we're trying to figure out. And then Wormrot's one of those guys who's just
cool.
Like gone global. They've done all of like shows around the world. What would it take for an artist to really succeed in the music career? make a very good living or a decent living out of it? Like maybe in your case as well, like what did you do? What were you exploring to make music a career, basically, right? How do you embark on that? What was the thinking behind it?
I will talk to myself about selfishly little in a bit, but I think to answer that question, at least for me, I feel that I think being aware of your main demographic and revenue pillar is very important. So what I'm talking about is like demographic, talking about, your audience, how old are they, and maybe what nationality are they? Where do they normally, or when they normally listen to your music, where do they normally listen to your music is important. Then also we're talking about revenue pillars, like let's say, where do you generate your most income from? So would it be merch? Would it be live shows? Would it be streaming royalties? Would it be arrangements, production, engineering, brands? Understanding which one of that you naturally lean towards, and then which one do you want to develop is very crucial. So that informs how you can best craft your artistry towards those pillars, so that you do not kind of cheapen your art for the viability of your income, your career. I do feel that you have to at least be aware where you're normally leaning towards. Personally, for myself, I realized that on my end, I'm a decent edutainer.
Edutainer, okay.
Educator, entertainer.
Yes, nice.
And I realized that funnel actually allows me to bring in more arrangement and production work.
Right.
But also that because I think having a social media presence allows me to work with some brands.
Yes.
So I realized that these are my revenue pillars.
Right.
And on top of that, maybe some artistry and royalties along the way from the songs I've written.
Yes.
So these are where I'm leaning towards. So that is where I will spend most of my time, and my art generally translates to these skill sets. So that's where, and of course, these pillars, these revenue funnels pillars, do rise and fall in every quarter. So I think it's important to know, let's say in a particular season, where is that leaning towards, and whether do you want to work on that more or develop something else. Right. So I would say my advice is to just, I think, start on maybe 3 to 5. Or maybe 2 to 4, and work towards those first, and then you will see just by sheer happenstance that the auxiliary stuff that you work on will naturally rise along with it. Yeah. So let's say with production, the arrangement and recording side naturally rises with it. So it's important to consider that, and I think that will help.
Yeah. Just to add on to what you're sharing, I think it's important to look at building a brand around you as an artist, or who you are, your story. Like what you said, your lecturer, or like the drumming lecturer.
Yeah.
Where's your story? Don't be a robot, right? Like weave in your personality, your vision, your stories into what you're doing.
Yeah. I mean, I even remember during our time when we were working on it, you also asked, not even me, but to artists, what's your story?
What's your story?
Yeah. Right. So I think it's very important.
Yeah.
That really drives. I think that informs you where you would want to go.
Correct.
Where you will want to develop your strategy towards. It needs to be a bit of a conscious reflection.
Yeah. So you've worked with many Singaporean artists, like everyone from Nathan, I suppose, to Inch, to Lei, Ling In,
Ben,
and
so
Ben,
on,
everyone else. Are there more projects coming up with Singaporean artists in the pipeline? Just curious.
Yes. All very domestic based. I can't say who yet, but I think some of those names, they are. We have a lot of very exciting approaches that we are trying. A lot of them are, I would say, or actually most Singaporean artists are always leaning towards exporting their act.
Yes.
But the question is how.
Yeah.
And that's something that's we've been exploring with some of the artists that we're working with. And it's great because I think a lot of them are multifaceted. They're not just creative in the musical aspect. And it's very cool to just see where the headspace is at and where they might want to develop. Like for example, like Lei, she does all these like open mics or a sit down and I'll sing to you kind of moment.
Yes.
And Ben is a creative in general. He's a creative director now. Crazy. I think over the top viewpoint for when they come to view their art, right? Their music really informs us of how we want to craft our output towards like that perspective, that vibe, you know.
Yeah,
so I
yeah.
think it's really fun. So
Yeah.
still hyper local, still love to champion the local arts. I think we have something of value, you know, besides from our famous JJs, Steph Sons of the world. I think, you know, being in the session world, a lot of the Mandor pop artists, I think not just now but from the past, have been supported by incredible Singaporean musicians.
Yes.
I think Martin Tang, King Long, Ken C, and the list goes on, right? These guys are music directors who have supported the biggest Mando acts that I've known. And the musicians, I think the Army Band, we are the third generation of Singapore session musicians that are in the tour band. So, and that goes for, I think, probably Steph, and I think JJ. I mean, the Jackie Chung Band, a good chunk of them are also Singaporeans. So incredible. So it is possible. It is viable. So I think it's very fun to see, like, you know, our Singaporean scene, our Singaporean musicians and creatives just stepping outside our shores.
Exciting. I'm looking forward to hearing, you know, when things are coming through.
Can't wait.
And just kind of as we kind of wrap up the session, just a couple more thoughts that I wanted to get from you. We spoke a little bit about AI just now, you know, and you spoke a little bit about how that's really kind of coming into what you're doing.
Yeah.
Very predominantly, actually.
Oh, it's coming. Definitely.
Well, it's here and it's always going to be evolving. And then what's your experience so far been being AI and the work that you're doing? And how do you see it, you know, impacting or evolving the way you're looking at your work moving forward?
A lot of it happened in my commercial work. We're talking about ads, jingles, and stuff like that, where the clients actually give you a rough playbook to begin with for it that's generated. But of course, I think they need a bit of a bespokeness to the work, and it enables us to kind of have that touch. I think as musicians, as composers, producers, we're able to refine and work on that. So I see that predominantly, but I also have seen, I think, you know, in writing sessions, people have been using DeepSeek, ChatGPT to help with their lyrics.
Right.
Yeah. So, but I also realized that with that, our output has like increased almost like, I mean, at least twice, but sometimes tenfold. Like sometimes in a day of writing session, we can finish 2-3 songs instead of one. And that's insane. But yeah, I think AI is here. Yeah. And I think we need to know how to wield it as a tool. I remember when Splice first came out, you know, a online loop library, you know, we all just like, what? You're using loops? Lame. But then I'm like, but it makes me finish so much faster. What?
Yeah.
So why not? You know, it's a tool. It's copyright free, as in it's legally covered, right? Where we get to use it. Then why not? It enables us to finish work faster. It gets to the point quicker. It allows the artist and the creator to express ourselves better. Why not? Yeah. So same for AI. I think it's not about, the way I say it is be data informed, not be data driven. So don't let them take the wheel. You take the wheel and direct where that goes. So I think the future, I think even for a music producer and arranger myself, one of the skill sets we need to have is prompt generation. Right. Naturally. And we need to, I think, be able to accelerate our output with it and create quality product that is way beyond what people can typically generate. Right. So work alongside it and I'll say enhance and generate stuff that most people will not be able to anticipate or create. I think, you know, with AI, it's still a lot of regurgitating or creating something that's already been done before. Yeah. So it is our job as humans to think outside of the box, to either prompt them to create something new or you take that and then mold it into something new. Yeah. I am optimistic, cautiously optimistic, but optimistic because it allows me to create stuff so much more quicker than I'm able to now. And my output is so much more faster. I can create more 2-3 songs in a day. Yeah. More than 1 or 2. I can create 5 sometimes when I don't need to think too much about it, just go. It's insane. And I do think it's here to stay. So you better learn how to tangle with it or else you'll be left on the sidelines. Yeah. Well put, man. I think it's definitely here to stay. It's like it will be part of what we're doing. It's depending on how you want to use it, it's part of your creative process and just really exploit it for what benefit it's going to give you. Yeah. But you're the master of the destiny line and you kind of tell you where to go. Spot on. And create what you need to create. Yeah, I love it. It helps me. The stuff I love it the most for is doing press releases because sometimes you used to take so long to write it. Now it's just like, hey, this is roughly the vibe. Yeah. And then you just kind of, you just edit and mold it to your tone after that. It's like, oh my God, that's the best. I love it. It saves me so much time. I love
Super
it.
time saver.
Yes.
There's also things like I see a lot nowadays, like AI artists, AI created influencers or AI created, musicians. What are your thoughts around that?
I think that allows you to immortalize an act. So I would say that I don't know. It is highly probable that you are able to generate more songs that you can put under a supposed, like for example Michael Jackson.
Yeah,
like it's so possible once you train and model. I think it's interesting because you're able to basically immortalize a brand, right? A brand that outlasts, physically outlasts any of us humans. The question is, do you really need to? Do you really want to? I do think that I think the beauty of a journey or experience is because it's finite. And I kind of like that it doesn't. It's constantly shifting or molding. And some of my best artists that I love constantly move the needle with every record.
True.
I mean, like MJ, Bowie.
Yeah.
They constantly reinvent.
Yes.
Yeah. So I love that they are, I think, digital like avatars and artists, because I think that allows a particular creative to express themselves in ways you cannot. Like, let's say, think if you pull it way back, it's just a mask. Now think in the more commercial or more modern day aspect, Slipknot.
Yeah.
Gorillas.
Yeah.
It allows yourself to express a persona of you that's so far off from what you normally do. I think I love that. So I think if you need that as a way, a channel to express whatever you want to express, do it. But I don't think there's a need for it to just be, the be all and all.
Yeah.
I think it's fun. I think, Timbaland just signed his first AI artist, right?
Yeah.
No, it's here to stay. I think it's about whether this output, right? This creative output, this artist, whatever, right? Be it with music, visual, whatever, right? It's able to satisfy a particular thing, a particular outlet, a particular thing, emotion that you need to receive or vent. And if it's done its job, sure. I think, the world is big enough for everyone to experience things differently.
Yeah.
But for me, I would love to have my say on it, just because I'm a bit of a stickler myself. I want to know that I've contributed more than just a prompt. So I would do something there.
Yeah.
Or let people know I've done something. But that's my own selfish desire.
AI is such an amazing thing. We covered this topic a few times already, and it's always will be a work in progress. I think it's just going to be an evolution. There will be space for all sorts of AI type, or like it's going to be around, in, and within.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
And the way humans or artists use it, leverage it, and collaborate with it is going to be coming out in different dimensions.
Yeah, and that shows how creative you are, actually.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the cool part. And I'll be actually looking forward to hearing and seeing some of these things come alive. To me, I think that's really cool to see.
Oh, yeah, man. I have Suno has been amazing, man. I've prompted them to create the craziest birthday songs for my friends, right? It's very fun. But but on the side also, they I think once like we mentioned before, right? I think one of the signature things that most producers would be known for in the future as an additional tool is how you prompt. And Yeah, I think that's something that some people might come to you for.
Yeah. I'm going to be is there going to be a role in the future called musician prompt engineer specialist? That's all you do.
It's a possibility,
Tell
man.
me what you want. Okay, I don't know.
Yeah, and I'll type it, and your output would be something better than someone was like, hey, make me a beat that sounds like, and this guy has like this whole secret keywords and stuff like that. I don't know, but that's a possibility, man.
You never know, man. I think it's a very interesting time, interesting space.
Yeah, from like what I know now, actually, like Suno is developing MIDI functionalities, meaning the stuff you generate, you can actually take them out into MIDI and then modify the notes after that.
Wow, happening.
I'm like, oh my God, sign me the hell up, man. I am there.
Yeah.
You save me time, I am there.
Totally.
Yeah, I am right on. Take my money.
So I think it's interesting. I don't know. I'll be very curious to see how Singaporean artists will embark on this AI idea.
Who knows? There might be some in our midst and we just don't know yet.
I'm sure there will be.
Yeah.
It's just we haven't seen it maybe yet. I don't know. Yeah.
I think even we speak about local, even like the local company like BandLab, have been incorporating that already, which is
Nice.
insane. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which means it's free and accessible to even like, kids who
Yeah.
are learning how to create. Like if they are figuring it out at that stage when they're still developing their musicality, oh my God,
totally.
I can't wait to see what they're going to create.
We should get someone from BandLab on this podcast, I think.
Oh yeah, you should.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I think they're a Singaporean company, and I think we haven't. That gave me an idea today.
Let me know. I can help you.
Yeah.
It'll be
Okay.
fun.
Cool. Yeah, that'd be interesting because I think there's a lot of new spaces that we can
For
fully
sure.
explore, lah. Yeah. The session has been great, Evan. Thank you so much for sharing so
much fun.
There's a lot of insights that you've given.
Happy to.
Coming in with sharing a little bit about your story, how you got here. Is there one thing that you still dream of creating, but you haven't yet done so?
Oh man, for myself, I really look forward to expressing myself as an artist. This is a long-winded story. You don't mind, right?
Of
so
course.
like, I remember this so clearly because when I was in Berklee and there was an icebreaker, right? Everyone was introducing themselves. A good bunch of us Singaporeans and a lot of the other foreigner friends, right, were introducing. Hey, this is my art. I love to do this. I like to talk about this because of my life, blah blah, and so on. I was like, oh, that's amazing. Then when it came to some of us Singaporeans, we were like, we're here to figure out how to make money, right? How to make this viable. And like after a while, the teacher pulled me back outside. I was like, no, what does music mean to you? And I was like, 赚钱啊. And then like, no. And I think that stuck with me after a while, because they were encouraging me, what does it actually mean to you? Yeah. And I think the Adventure Time label was forced upon me lovingly by a bunch of my friends because they say, no, you have a voice.
Yes.
You are more than the mercenary that you started. What does it mean for you? And that artist name that has been just a journey into who the hell am I as a musician? What does it mean? I don't know. And as someone did ask me that question like a long time, last week. What's your sound? What does it mean for you as a musician? I don't know.
Yeah.
In front of all my mentees, I had no freaking clue. I won't say it's identity crisis, but it would be nice to kind of know who I am. And not necessarily a label, but figure out what my tendencies are. What do I love to do from all these myriad of experiences and music I listen to? What are the things I actually like? And I haven't. I have brought joy. I would hope so. For the artists I worked with, for the projects I've worked on. But I'm not sure what might that mean to bring selfishly joy for myself because, music has always been it's supposed to be something that you love, an outlet to express yourself. Yeah. I have no clue to this day. What does that mean for me? Oh. But I love to enable other people to live their dream. Yeah. So it is one of my dreams to figure out what actually, Marie Kondo sparks joy for me. I have no clue. Maybe it's not about coming to the conclusion, but actually the exploration of it, the journey itself is part of the thing that I'm enjoying the most. Yeah. But that's the dream. Yeah. But I think shoot for the moon, but currently I think I'm enjoying the process more than actually coming to a conclusion itself. Yeah. So that's very fun already.
Wow. So like, what does Adventure Time mean?
Yeah, I have no fucking
clue. So you're like, fuck, how do I figure this out? Like, where's this journey? I just want to make sure that I mentioned this. Like, you've been working with so many different artists on helping them, supporting them, partnering with them to get their music.
To just express themselves in their way. And not, I'm a vessel. I don't put my imprint on them as much as I can. Yeah.
And it's just supporting and working with them. But in a flip side, you're also trying to figure out what Adventure Time means to you and what's your voice, what's your take, and what that might look like as you journey forward.
Yeah. Doesn't keep me up at night, but I think it's a really fun thought exercise to really work on. Yeah. It kind of runs a bit of a parallel in life, actually. Yeah. Because I think, Gerald that you were maybe 10 years ago is very different than Gerald you are now. Yeah, the constant is change. Yes. I think it's just kind of fun to, I think for me, I just find myself to enjoy this a lot as part of an audible diary of who I was. So it's very fun to look back.
It is. And then, it kind of sparked my, like, as you were talking about it, we're jamming here. Like Jam Studio.
Hell yeah.
It's like, it's interesting because, like, I always love music. I always have been involved with music ever since a young age. Yeah. Appreciated being a music fan. I always wanted to do music. But somehow my work and my creative side has been in the corporate domain. And it almost feels like, well, I've been telling stories and building teams or working with on businesses on the corporate side. Inside me, it's like, what is Gerald's story?
Yeah.
Now, what's my story?
You've always been enabling the best of us, right?
Yeah.
Of a lot of us.
And it's interesting, lah. Yeah, and I think I'm edging closer a little bit every day.
Yeah.
Especially as I get older, and especially in the work that I do now, like, what is my voice? And sometimes, it just takes, it's a journey to kind of get to that point of like, okay, what is your imprint moving forward?
Yeah.
Because it's always been working with other brands, working for other brands, working at a major label, for example.
Yeah.
Working with artists. But that's my journey. It's fine. And I'm actually very proud of it. And it's gotten me to where I am today. And the question is like, what's your voice as you move forward? But at the same time, you don't want to lose what you have done for the people that you work with or the brands you work with. But that's still means a lot, right? It's especially to me.
Yeah.
And the people that you work with, right? The artists that you work with.
For sure. So fun to think about, actually.
It is, man. So adventure time in the future, wow, we'll see.
I don't know. I could be architect for all I know.
Adventure time, architecture.
I don't know. I'm sure it's something my parents will understand better.
So very, very cool. I mean, thank you so much, Evan, for spending the time with me, with us.
Yeah.
We really appreciate it, man.
Anytime. This podcast has been really fun, man. I have not talked about some of these things in any other place. So this is fun. It's digging deep. I love it.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you for being so open. Also, I appreciate the honesty, the transparency, the trust.
Hey, man, anytime.
Yeah. So with that, huge thank you to all of you for listening and tuning in. Hook up with Evan on his Instagram. Well, can we find you actually, Evan? Sorry.
I guess IG, Instagram is where I mostly reside. TikTok is under Adventure Time. Let me think. Yeah, Spotify as well. So you'll find me there. Yeah, it'll be cool.
All right. So thank you so much. We'll leave all the links and all that in the usual comments and descriptions. With that, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you real soon. Ciao.